Bonjour, bienvenue au calendrier de l'Avent des activités de la ville de Kirkland. Welcome to the town of Kirkland Advent Calendar of Activities. Je me présente. Je suis Josie Rinaldo et je travaille à Kirkland. Je suis le professeur d'Aquarelle. Hi, I'm Josie Rinaldo and I work at the Kirkland Library. I teach watercolor at the library. Bienvenue dans mon cours d'aquarelle. Et voilà, j'ai bâti un livre qui donne la possibilité aux élèves d'apprendre toutes les techniques. Puis on commence avec la liste des matériaux. Et puis voilà, on fait leur cercle chromatique. Et je donne des petits exercices. Et celui-là, c'est une base qu'on fait à l'aquarelle. Et on fait toutes sortes de petites œuvres qui vont avec les exercices. Et voilà, encore d'autres, comment apprendre à peindre le volume. Et on le fait aussi au crayon. Et aussi, je donne une autre technique qui est la vie, qui donne la profondeur. Et aussi, très important en aquarelle, c'est le côté positif et négatif, peindre au positif et négatif. Ça, c'est pour apprendre les couleurs, quand on mélange des couleurs, on superimpose des couleurs. Et voilà, on arrive au petit projet d'aujourd'hui. Welcome to my course, my watercolor course in Kirkland. I made a book that gives the chance for the people to learn the basics in watercolor. So of course I start with the materials, and here we are, and I base all my teaching on the color wheel, and everyone is going to do a color wheel of their own colors. So here we have techniques with the brush, and we have flat wash as well, variegated washes. And with those exercises, we get to do little projects like this, and how to do the volume with the egg. I'm very known for the egg volume. This is part of my glazing techniques that I teach, and this is the positive and the negative as well on this side. There's another glazing technique with different colors to see what the results are of the different colors. And then this side, I start teaching the wet on wet. Et voilà, nous sommes rendus au petit projet d'aujourd'hui, qui serait un petit arbre de Noël. Et puis je vous montre différentes sortes de fonds qu'on peut faire avec les petits arbres. Et ça, c'est un projet que vous pouvez faire pour Noël. This is a little project that you can do during the Christmas holidays. So now we're going to start the little project, and we're going to wet the paper a little bit, just to give it a nice coat of water. This is a technique that's called wet on wet. I'm sure a lot of you have heard this technique. Normally I would wet both sides, but because the paper is a little bit small and I taped it with these beige tapes instead of colored tapes, which is a lot better, it doesn't give you any distortion in color. So then once I put down my colors, my water, then I could start working on the colors that I'm using. So the colors I'm using for today is called compost green, alizarin crimson, and shadow green. Those are the three colors because I'm going to do one of these little trees here. So I'm going to start with the ultramarine blue for the sky. Make a nice mix of color. And then I'm going to add a little bit of alizarin crimson just to warm up that color. and test it out on my sky. I need a little bit more intensity of color. Oh, now we're talking. This is how, and make sure that you are not painting a wall, but that you are painting a sky, and we have different values of blues so that we can see it all the way through to the bottom, so that it moves. There we go. And even that just little streak of red that I put in, it will show up here where. So this is for the first part of the sky. So we let it run down a little bit so that we have a nice interesting sky. And then I'm going to start building my little Christmas tree. So for that, I'm going to need a fan brush, and I'm checking my watercolor that when the water evaporates a little bit and it's not shiny anymore, then I'm going to sprinkle some salt and also some drops of water. So here, so I'm going to do my first preliminary color for the tree. So we'll check it out. Oh yeah, it's working. So notice how I'm using my brush in every single direction so that we don't get we don't always get the same lines, but that we make a variation. And of course, you know, like the tree is mostly in a triangular shape, so that you know, and you have like the trunk a little bit, so it's always darker around the trunk, but this is like the first coat, so we're just gonna leave it there like that, and oh, maybe there's some sections that we can put a bit of salt here. I see it, it's a little bit maybe ready. We'll see what happens. Just a little bit of salt. And even though if we're not happy with the sky, we can always bring the sky down a little bit more, but we have to wait till it's dry. So it's not always going to be perfect. The skies here is very multicolored. You can do multicolored. You can have a lot of snow, or you can have not as much snow. So it'll always be a surprise, which is the fun part of it. So now I'm going to continue with the second phase of the painting, which makes the color a little bit darker. Not too dark, just dark enough so that we are doing this very, and the more you are random with your brush strokes, more interesting it will be. And as you know, in fir trees like this, it's always darker underneath the branches, right? So I'm putting some dark underneath, trying to keep some of my light areas that are there. I want to keep those so that maybe we can, like some of my other ones, I put little Christmas balls here. There's some here as well there. So this is how example. So, and my last coat. this is what, as far as I can get into the project when the whole paper is wet on wet. I don't know if you can see it through the camera, but I've got very tiny little crystals that are formed here that look like snowflakes. So this is the tree, and I could put a little wash of a lighter blue here at the bottom to signify a bit of snow. Here we go. And the snow is always blue, as well as the sky. And we can make it a little darker on one side and a little lighter on the other side, and make it very soft edges. Here we go. Doesn't take much, but it will be quite interesting. Let's see if it works out with a bit of spraying a bit of water. And that will also create another kind of movement for the watercolor because it's matte dry. And so now at this point we have to kind of wait till the watercolor is a little bit more dry. So I'm going to use a hair blower to dry my watercolor. And here is the results for now. I'm going to wait until it dries to be able to add more color. Maintenant, le petit tableau est séché et je continue la troisième étape et je fais la dernière couche de plus foncé parce qu'on fonce. En aquarelle, on commence avec le plus pâle puis on finit avec le foncé. Alors, je reprends toujours le haut et je continue. Et voilà, ça donne un peu plus de volume parce que j'ai mis comme 3 valeurs. Et c'est toujours vers le bas des branches qui va être plus évident que c'est un petit arbre de Noël. Et maintenant, on peut aller chercher une brosse à dents. Je mets dans la couleur de bleu. Et puis je lance ça comme ça sur l'œuvre pour donner un autre effet que, voilà, c'est de la neige, la poudrerie de neige qui tombe. Pas trop, juste assez, sinon c'est parcimonie. Maintenant je peux décorer un peu l'arbre de Noël. Just going to decorate the tree. We can put little Christmas balls here and there, large ones, small ones, des petites boules de neige. Petite boule de Noël à droite, à gauche, pas trop, juste assez pour qu'on puisse les voir. Même, je pense peut-être une petite étoile, a little star here. I think that would look nice. So now and I've signed the painting already. So now I take the tape off just to show you the finished product. And this you can give it away as a card or a little painting. Tu peux donner ça comme une carte de Noël ou bien une petite œuvre qui vont encadrer. So this is what it gives. This is the painting. Thank you for listening to me. Merci de m'avoir écouté. J'espère que ça va bien aller pour votre projet.